I've always been a water person. I grew up in Minnesota, the land of 10,000 lakes. I always had a river in my backyard. My brothers and sister and I were always swimming or fishing in the summer, running around barefoot. Until around my 6th grade year, our place had a hill leading down to the Fishhook River, which froze solidly enough to drive on every winter, which people did to haul out their ice houses. Neighbors came from all around to sled our hill, making jumps off the docks onto the ice. Fun times. When my parents had a new house built 3.5 miles out of town, we lived by the Straight River, which is anything but straight. It is named for the Straight Lake from which it flows. This river has a strong current, so it doesn't freeze as solidly, and it is much shallower. There are also lots of trees along it, so no more sledding or swimming, but then we had a great opportunity for canoeing. We would have someone drive us up a mile or two upstream and then paddle and float back home. The challenge was hauling the canoes back up the hill through the trees. I was on the swim team starting in 7th grade and did well, especially as a long-distance swimmer. I have some awards, I still have some awards that I earned. Later, I became a lifeguard. When I moved to Arizona after college, I fortunately landed in a town with a swimming pool and the Verde River. A close friend of mine, Madison, suggested I try scuba. My first thought was, where does one go scuba dive in Arizona? His suggestion was to travel to Mexico. So I made repeated 2-hour trips to Phoenix to become certified. Scuba, which stands for Self-Contained Underwater Breathing Apparatus, is not for everyone. Some people feel constricted with scuba gear. Some are afraid of an accident and running out of air. I took to this new water world like, a fish. What a rush. Before long, I was enjoying marine life in San Carlos, Mexico, both above and below the surface. I love the feeling of weightlessness underwater. It's a thrill to see new things while diving, sometimes staying put long enough to study creatures' features and habits. Madison and I always brought collection bags to clean up any garbage that we found. On one occasion, after we were done with our dive, I was snorkeling around the smaller bay in which we were anchored. I saw a big black garbage bag on the bottom, about 40 feet down. I free dove to get it, but it was squishy, and it turned out to be a black sea slug with eerie, beady eyes peering from appendages. Cool. I let him go on his way, but it was a treat to follow his movements from above for a while. Another time we dove on a sunken ferry boat. It was a bit murky. Madison grabbed my fin to get my attention. When I turned, I thought I was looking at a shark, but it was a young whale shark, which is in the whale family, not a shark. It took my breath away. Over the years, I have seen sharks, sea turtles, sea snakes, and all manner of fish, rays, and urchins. We even got in the middle of a pod of dolphins while boating in around San Carlos Bay. There were hundreds, perhaps thousands of them. We cut the engine and watched until they swam away. During these trips, I often swam from the hotel to a small island a mile offshore. Madison would circle around with the boat to make sure I was safe. These fond memories remind me that life is precious. One of my favorite sightings was not even in the ocean. I was snorkeling on Lake Mead and saw a graceful white freshwater jellyfish. I didn't even know they existed. They're very rare. My friend Bob, who dove as a park ranger, was jealous. He never saw one in his decades of diving the many lakes where he was sent. I have many great memories of being in and around water. Watching what happens under the water brought a new perspective to my life. It made me realize that there is so much more under the surface, not just in the water, but in life. Sink to another depth and you may be surprised what you found. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going swimming.